Hey everybody, it's Yvonne here and welcome to this live stream in the Bed and Breakfast Guest House Owners group on Facebook. I wanted to come on and just have a chat with you and see if we could get a conversation going about some of the things that I think are important when you're growing your business. So I'd love to know what you think. So one of the things that I don't really talk about much in the group is some of the work that I do with my clients around mindset and attitude. And I think this is really important, an important topic to talk about. So that's why I wanted to do this with you today. So I can see a couple of people joining. If you've just come on, then just say hi in the comments box so I can see. I should be able to see who's here now. And also if you can hear me okay. So just say hi. Great. All right. So when I think about mindset, all right, great. Hi, Chris. Nice to see you here. So one of the things that, what I mean by mindset is this. So if you can imagine like a big black room, and there's no windows in it, and it's just completely pitch black. There's no windows, there's no light at all in this room. And you go into it and you have this little tiny flashlight, like a little beam of light, and you focus it on one point in the room, and you can't see anything else in the room. There's just one little speck of light that you are focusing on in that room. You have no idea what else is in that room. You can't see anything else, and all you can see is just what that little speck of light is shining on. Well, that little speck of light is like the equivalent of how we see the world. It's like that is the way it is. That is how we see the world, and based on our own perspective. We can't see anything outside of that. And what you'll notice is that people who defend that, who defend their like little speck of light in the black room, people who defend that are really not open to anything else that could possibly be out there. There could be all manner of things in that room. There could be all manner of treasures. There could be a treasure chest of gold and jewelry and money and wonderful experiences and wonderful relationships and new people and new connections. But when we're just focusing on our little perspective, one speck of light, then all we can see is that. And we tend to go around like this in the world because we can't imagine anything else outside of that. And when anyone comes along and says, well, have you thought about this or have you thought about that? What we'll do is we'll say, no, that I can't look at that. I need to focus on this because this is how it is. This is how it is. So that mindset becomes very closed, and when you're not open to possibilities, then there's no way that you can actually expand out of your current way of thinking. So as you can imagine, everybody in that room, in that black room, has got their own little speck of light, and they've got their own little perspective, and it's all different. It's all different. Nobody's right and nobody's wrong. It's just different. So when you say, you know, this is how it is, this can't be changed, this is how it is, then it may be like that for you. That's certainly true for you, but it may not be the truth for somebody else. So that's what I mean about mindset, really. I just wanted to kind of come in and talk about this to start with. So your mindset is really fixed on your own perspective, your own little speck of light in a room full of infinite possibilities, infinite number of different ways of looking at something, or an infinite number of possibilities. But you can't see it all because we've only got that one perspective. So where does that perspective come from? Well, it comes from really from childhood, what we were told in childhood about the way the world is, and what we were told growing up through our teachers and our carers and our church, or whoever had an influence on us at the beginning of our lives before we fully developed our brains. And we were told all sorts of things about the world, and they really just second-hand things because they were handed down from our parents, and they were handed down from their parents as well. And of course, we just keep on repeating the same thing over and over again. So have you ever felt, I know I felt this, have you ever felt like you're living your mother's life? I certainly felt this, because until I started examining that one little speck that I was calling life, or calling my life. So when this goes unexamined, when we don't examine this perspective that we have, and we don't invite any other possibilities into our life, we have this way of looking at the world that is kind of fixed, and there's nothing else that can come into the world. Now, that's fine when everything's going well, and I know that I lived my life like this because I just wasn't aware of anything else that was possibly available to me. But when things go wrong and you're forced to look outside of yourself, or you're forced to look at another opportunity or another possibility that may be available for you, then that's when the blinkers start coming off, and you start to think, oh, I didn't know that that was available. I didn't know that was out there. Oh, I didn't know that either. Why didn't somebody tell me this? And then gradually, your perspective widens and broadens and becomes more encompassing and more open to new possibilities. And that's really what woke me up. Where are we now? About 12 years ago now. What woke me up to the possibility that there might be a different way to live, and there might be alternate universes, if you like, was because things were going wrong for me. And this is the gift. This is the gift of how the universe, or God, or whatever you call it, how it delivers to us these gifts in the form of things going wrong, or what we perceive as things going wrong. So I want you to think about, really, and give me a comment in the comments box about, you know, when you defend your position, when you defend like this is the way it is and nothing else is possible, when you defend that, then you know that your perspective is blinkered. You know that you're not open to anything else coming into your life. You're not open to any of these other infinite number of possibilities that might be available to you in the black room, as I'm calling it at the moment. So that's the first thing I wanted to say to you about that. So what I do with my clients is I help them to open their eyes, open their blinkers. And this is a really important part of the process when we're trying to change something, when we want something to change, is to just be available to an alternate universe, or another way of doing things, or another way of looking at things even. Just start with that. So the second thing I wanted to talk about was attitude. So when we have that little focus, that little speck on in the black room, when we're just focusing on that one little piece of light that we've created in that black room, then we have an attitude about that. We take a position on it, and we have an attitude about that. Like, you know, whatever we say it is, it is. So for example, you know, everyone's looking for a deal, or everyone's booking through the OTAs or the online travel agencies, or no one wants to book directly through my website, or people, you know, millennials, for example, this is one I heard in the group earlier, I saw in the group, millennials are always going to be looking for a deal. Well, you know, that is an attitude towards the way that we are viewing this one speck of light in the black room, in the black room of the world. So that attitude, if you say those things to yourself, then the universe will respond to you in the way that you are thinking, because it can only respond to you in the way that you are thinking and the attitude that you have. And it's not until you start changing your words, because words are really, really powerful. Words are really, really powerful. And so when we say things like, we make blanket statements like, you know, millennials will always be wanting a deal, then that just kind of eliminates any possibility that there might be a millennial out there who isn't looking for a deal. Because the truth is, we don't know. We haven't met every single millennial. We can't make that blanket statement. And of course, we all do this, right? We all do this. And because we don't notice that we're doing it, it then becomes our reality. And then that reinforces the little speck of light that we've chosen to focus on to be our perspective, if that makes sense. So let me know in the comments box. Let me just check the comments here. Oh, that's interesting, Marie. Yeah, so I know that when I'm defending a belief that's my speck of light, there's a hollowness to my voice. It's whiny. Yeah, it is, isn't it? I know exactly what you mean. It is. It's kind of, you know, it's almost like victim mentality, which has its own voice as well. So when you operate from that, like below the line thinking, what I call below the line thinking, which is victim, poor me, somebody has to do it for me, somebody has to save me, then our voice changes. There's no power to our voice. And like I said, words have power. Words have power and our voices have power. And it's like an expression of our energy when we speak. So if you want things to change for your business, if you're at that point where you want to change, then I would encourage you first to examine those beliefs and that attitude, the mindset that you have and the attitude that you have around the position of the way you see the world. This is how it is for me. Yes, it might be how it is for you, and I'm sure it is how it is for you, because there's no right or wrong here. But if you just take the blinkers off just a little bit and explore the possibility that there might be something out there for you, something different, there might be another way of doing things, then that allows the universe to deliver a different experience to you. And then it's our jobs to kind of practice discernment here and to figure out which is going to work, what is going to work for us, and which is the right thing to bring into our experience to expand that speck of light in that black room, and therefore expand our own sense of ourselves, because that's what expands your business. This is why I wanted to talk about this today. That is what expands your business. Yeah, there are hundreds of strategies out there. There are a gazillion tactics out there, but the thing that will really rock your business, the thing that will really expand your business is in here. And it's all about the mindset and your attitude and what you focus on, which I'll come to in a second. So I hope that makes some sense, because this is really, really powerful stuff. And it's something that I don't really talk about much in the group, but this is the thing that I do for my clients. This is the thing that changes their mindset, changes their worlds when they open up to possibilities that they didn't see before. And everybody has this, you know, life for me is a continual process of like taking the blinkers off, like 1 centimeter at a time. Life is just a continuous process of that, and you become more and more aware, more and more available to new possibilities, and more available to joy and excitement and happiness, basically, because that's what we all want, right? That's what we all want. So the third thing then I've got on my list here is about focus. So when you have, you know, you're focused on that speck of light and you're defending that position, and your attitude is this is how it is and it can't change, then that is what expands for you. That is what will just grow more. You'll just grow more of that. And that may be okay. That may be all right for you. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. But if you want something different, if you want, for example, if you truly want to get off the online travel agents and you don't know how to do it, or you don't even believe that it's possible right now, I'm here to tell you that it is possible. It is available for you. It's outside of your speck of light right now. So it's just a case of deciding that you are going to expand your sense of yourself and widen your horizons and broaden your awareness so that you can see other possibilities, so that your focus can then expand as well. And then your business expands, because as I just said, you cannot expand your business without expanding your own sense of yourself, your own awareness, your own speck of light, really. You cannot expand anything in your life when you're completely committed to your own speck of light and you're defending it. So let me know in the comments, what do you, 1 centimeter at a time? Yes. Well, you can do it faster if you want to. You can do it faster if you want to. In my experience, baby steps are best. It can freak you out because there's a part of us that really doesn't want to change, that really doesn't want to expand that speck of light. It's that part of us that kind of holds on to things the way they are. We we all have this part of us that is so afraid to explore that speck of light and increase our awareness that we just, it's just too scary. So in my experience, baby steps are good. Baby steps are perfect for this. Great. So the next thing I want to talk about was this idea of competition. And I saw a post in the group last week, which I commented on. And I just wanted to explain my thinking on competition. And again, do comment and do let me know what you think about this. Yes, on one level, there is competition because we live in this three-dimensional universe, and this kind of philosophy, if you like, that in order for me to have what I want, I have to take it from you, right? That's kind of the competitive world that we live in. In order for me to have what I want, I've got to take it from you, and you're going to lose. I win, you lose. So my philosophy is that doesn't have to be the case, that we can expand everything for everybody. And so there's a bigger pie and nobody's taking anything from anybody. And if you think about this in nature, in you know, what goes on sort of outside of our business or outside of our heads, in nature, I breathe, you breathe. When I breathe, that doesn't mean that you can't breathe. It doesn't take any more oxygen out of the air when I breathe. It doesn't mean that there's less for you if I breathe. We can all breathe. We can all breathe, and there's plenty to go around because in truth, there is sufficient for everybody. So if you think about your guests and your locality and the people that are coming to your area, there are customers for everybody. There really are customers for everybody. There's always a market for good service. There's always a market for quality. Otherwise, we'd all be driving a Ford. We'd all be wearing the same clothes from TK Maxx or wherever, whatever that is in your country. TK Maxx is like a bargain basement store in the UK. We'd all be wearing the same things, but we don't, do we? We all pick different things. We all go to different stores to get our clothes. We all buy different kinds of cars for various different reasons. There are people buying Ferraris, there are people buying Mercedes-Benz, there are people buying BMWs, and there are people who are buying Fiats, and there are people who are buying Fords. There are customers for every price point. So if you want to set yourself apart from the competition, then the first step on that process is to really examine the value that you have intrinsically inside of you. I don't mean your comfortable beds, I don't mean your delicious breakfast, although that is important as well. What I'm talking about here is expanding your own sense of yourself so that you lead with that instead of the kind of fear-based victim stance that many B&B owners and guest house owners and innkeepers do adopt, which is they have to be over-pleasing and they have to over-deliver and they have to be overly attentive, when actually the opposite is true. When you stand firm in your power in the knowledge, in the firm knowledge that what you have here is valuable, that what you have is valuable, that what you are is valuable, then that is far more powerful than anything that you, any add-ons or any kind of discounts that you might be tempted to give. It's far, far more powerful to be valuable yourself, to feel valuable in yourself. So again, back to the mindset and the attitude and expanding that sense of yourself so that you feel valuable, that you feel confident in what you offer. And when you do that, you will not be in the competitive market. You will not be in that discounting bargain basement, scrapping around for the crumbs. You want to be in your market of one, leading with your intrinsic value and your great service and your quality product for the people who would love that. For the people who would love that. And that doesn't mean serving everybody. It means serving the people that you can best serve, and really digging deep inside of yourself and bringing that to the surface so that when you answer the door, they are so blown away by your self-assuredness and your confidence and your self-respect that they can't help but worship you. in the best way possible, for a better word. There's probably a better word than worship, but they can't wait. They are just blown away by your own inner confidence and your own self-belief. That is the thing that is going to set you apart from the competition. That is the thing that's going to get you off the OTAs, as well as some strategies, of course, and some tactics, but as well as some strategies. But really, this live stream is about you. It's about your mindset. It's about your attitude, and it's about your own sense of yourself and bringing up that value so that you can be absolutely fantastic in your business, not just because of what you do for guests, but because of who you are. This is the most powerful thing that you can do for yourself. Let me just read the comments here, see what we're getting here. I'm loving this conversation. I hope you are too. Graham Hurd, do you know who has bought a Ferrari by running a B&B? Maybe not, but they could have another income stream. Chris, I've seen this change in my daughter since she came to live and work with me. She now has a sewing business and is involved in the community and has really expanded her world. She's been a mom to her 5 kids. It's been so great to see. And she's now 56. Isn't that marvelous, Chris? It's so beautiful to witness, isn't it? It is so beautiful. And that's really down to you, Chris, because you've led the way there. Yes, Furi Filna. I don't know what your first name is, my darling. Is it Filna or is it Furi? Successful people focus on winning. Losers focus on the competition. Totally. Chris, people who feel that you will take care of them will not be problem guests. Absolutely. Marie, I believe the reason I'm seeing such great guests has to do with projecting my more confident attitude that starts with greeting them at the door. Yes, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And it's really interesting what you said about your daughter, Chris, because it's such a beautiful thing to witness, isn't it? This is why I do what I do, because I then witness you, my clients. I witness that. And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful to take somebody who's totally in their victim, totally in their unempowered, disempowered state, with their business going nowhere and no money and clients guests doing whatever they do, but not in a good way. And then they suddenly expand their sense of themselves. They broaden that speck of white light, and suddenly the whole world opens up. And it's a wonderful thing to witness and to be part of. And that's why I do what I do, because it's just so wonderful to see. So yes, on one level there is competition, but you don't have to take part in that competition. And I encourage you not to. I encourage you to find within yourself that intrinsic value and then come out of that, because as Chris has so beautifully demonstrated, and Marie as well, who's so beautifully demonstrated, when you do this, other people will feel it. They'll feel your power. And it's a thing. It's a real thing. It's like this energy that we project. It is a thing. It's not just some airy-fairy theoretical mumbo jumbo woo-woo stuff. It's actually a thing. It's actually been scientifically proven that our energy directly affects those around us. And so what you do for yourself will have a knock-on effect, not just for your guests, but for your family and from everybody who knows you. And this is what the world needs today. More people expanding that speck of light, expanding their awareness, opening up to more possibilities, to get new solutions, to find new solutions to the world's terrible problems right now. And when we do that, we can all do that. We can all do that in our own businesses. And when we all do that collectively, that whatever that is that's going on out there, whatever that is a reflection of, will just kind of fade away. I'm really convinced about this. It will just fade away. Don't pay any attention to it. Don't give it any energy. Just focus on what you can do with what you have in your area for the guests that you want. And you'll find that you won't be paying any attention to the competition, whether Airbnb are taking over in your area or Booking.com are tightening the grip and they're charging more commissions, or they're changing their bedandbreakfast.com are changing the way they do business. No matter. It's all peripheral stuff that we don't need to be concerned with. When we get into our own power and we start leading with our own value, None of that really matters. None of it. So Jane's saying that no one Graham heard but think Bugatti Veyron. Okay, I don't understand that comment, but I'm sure you do, Jane. So is there any question? Do you have any questions about anything at all? I'm happy to answer your questions. And I love your questions, because then that helps me to articulate what I want to say here, and I want to give you some hope. I want to give you some reason to carry on, a reason to get better, a reason to find your own value and to be in your power. Because like I say, this is what the world needs right now. We don't need anybody. We don't need more people being the victim and trying to play those games. We don't need any more of those. There's plenty of people out there doing that. We don't need to be those people. So do give me some questions. And Marie, I just wanted, can I bring up that story about your daughter, who got that teaching job as well? That was so amazing. When you turn the conversation round from her like victim whiny behavior, I can't get a job and all of that. Yeah, wasn't that amazing? So just to kind of reiterate what Marie did, her daughter was trying to get a teaching job in a new area in the US. And she phoned up her mom and she was saying, oh, I can't get a job and there's no teaching jobs and there's no this and I can't, and I never had an interview and blah, 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 blah. Marie completely turned it around and said, the way that you're talking is preventing you from getting an interview. And of course she didn't like it, right? She didn't like it to begin with. But the words that are coming out of your mouth are actually preventing you from attracting a new job. And the very next day, after she'd picked herself off the floor after a good telling off by her mom in a nice way, she got an interview and a job the next day. So it's a real thing, this. It's a real thing. You'll be amazed at how quickly things can turn when you adopt this attitude of taking the blinkers off and not defending your position anymore, not defending the way it is anymore, but just taking those blinkers off just a little bit and expanding your awareness so that your speck of light gets bigger and bigger. And if we all did that, can you imagine that black room? It will be totally full of light. It will be totally full of radiant, beautiful, human, energetic light. And what a wonderful place the world would be if we all did that. And you know, the other thing about this is that every time a problem or a challenge comes along, or, you know, like last week we had bedandbreakfast.com who just changed the way of their way of doing business. This is such a gift. These are such gifts, because it then gives us the opportunity to take the blinkers off, to look the other way. Now, most of us don't realize we even have blinkers. No, we don't. It's true. And we, you know, this is just the human condition. We all have them, right? And as I say, it kind of comes down from parents and it comes down from grandparents, and everybody's saying the same thing. You know, you can't get a job around here, and everybody's awful, and the guests are always trashy, and you know, all of those blanket statements just prevent the blinkers from just opening just a little bit and asking better questions. You know, how can I attract the guests that I want to attract? What is the thing that they really appreciate about me? Just really asking better questions. Yes, I will. The one thing that you can do, yeah, thanks Chris for reminding me, is that suggest one thing that we can do to begin the change is to start asking yourself better questions. Yes, Jane, treat people as you'd like to be treated. I told you, I did, didn't I? That you attract people like yourself. And if you are attracting people to your B&B, guest house or inn that you don't like, then that is such a gift, because then you have the opportunity to ask yourself, that behavior that I'm seeing in them, where am I doing that? Where am I doing that? Because if everything is a matching picture for what we're putting out, if everything is energetically matching what we're putting out, then a good place to start is to ask yourself, where am I doing that? If you've got guests and they're continually asking for discounts or trying to get away with stuff. You know what I mean, right? Where are you doing that yourself? No judgment, no criticism, no right or wrong, but just it's such a gift that allows you to start asking those questions. Where am I doing this? Because we can only attract, it's like trying to attract, you know, if you were trying to attract a new man into your life, for example, and you wanted, you know, you got this picture in your mind that he was like a hunky Viking or something, and he had muscles like this, and his body was beautiful, and he was really intelligent, and you weren't taking care of your body, and you were stuffing your face full of junk food. You know, he's just not going to be able to come to you, because your frequency on which you operate are like this. He's up here and you're down here, or it could be the other way around. It doesn't really matter. But just to illustrate the point, we can only attract people on the same frequency that we are operating on. So, and this has been calibrated by a guy called Dr. David Hawkins, I think, the kind of calibration of energy. So right at the bottom, you've got the energy of hate and fear and rage, and then moving up, you've got guilt and shame, and then moving up a bit further, you've got apathy and lethargy, and then you come to a neutral place. And then as you move further up this calibrated energetic scale, you get into hope, you get into optimism, you get into love. Love, of course, is at the top, and everything that's, you know, positive in between. So you've got this like line of like below the line energy and above the line energy, always trying to make sure that you're in above the line energy. And by the way, this doesn't mean being positive and talking positively and pretending that everything's okay underneath. It means dealing with the shit underneath as well. And that's the exciting bit. So when you're trying to move up the energetic scale, if you like, you know, that is the journey of life. I believe that is the journey of life, is to get to that place of unconditional love in every moment, like Jesus did. And of course, as humans, maybe it's possible, maybe it's not, but that's got to be the goal, right? That's got to be the goal, so that we're no longer killing each other and hurting each other. So went off in a bit of a tangent like that, but just be aware of the things that come out of your mouth when you speak about this is the way it is. This is the way it is. Have some way of rewarding yourself, showing yourself some appreciation. There was a post in the group last week about bedandbreakfast.com, and there were lots and lots of comments, of course, because a lot of people are affected by this. And then when I posted about, let's have some appreciation for you, let's have some awards that you've won, great reviews that you got, or some appreciation for the work that for something that you did. The comments, there weren't so many. Okay, so I want you to really come into the group and share something when you've got something to share that really went well for you, and just say it, because it makes us all feel better, and it'll certainly make you feel better for sure. And it's all about feeling good in this business. This is so important, to feel good when we're with our guests and when we're trying to, you know, lift ourselves up from wherever we are right now, because we want to be doing that and then lifting our guests up as well as we go. So yeah, so is there anything else that you'd like me to cover? And if you enjoy these conversations, then let me know, and I'll happily come on and talk some more about this. But I think this is really important to bring out, to bring out in the group. I think that it's not just about listing with online travel agencies, and it's not just about, you know, getting the next guest. It's about us. It's about us, and we are the most important piece in the puzzle in all of our businesses. Chris, I'd like to actually bring you in here, Anne-Marie and Jane, if you like, because we have worked together. What would you say was the biggest thing that made the change for you in order for you to get where you've got to right now? What was if you could pinpoint one thing, what would you share? I think that would be really helpful. So Chris, when your daughter started expanding her sense of herself, aiming high, yes, aiming high, that's great, Jane, yeah. Chris, when your daughter started expanding her sense of herself, what was it? What was it? What did you see her doing, first of all, that you really noticed? Or what did you notice about the way she was being? And sometimes it's not really about doing, is it? Sometimes it's just about being. So Marie, chime in. Yes, okay. Hard to articulate. It is, isn't it? It is, yeah. Chris, opening up to all the new ways of marketing and just doing it. Yeah, just being open, just being willing to acknowledge that, you know, there is more out there in the dark room than just our speck of light. There is more than that. There are infinite number of universes and possibilities, and to me that's really, really exciting. I'll just tell you what happened to me. The first thing that woke me up was about where are we now? About 12 years ago now. Actually, probably, yeah, about 12 years ago. And it was a strange thing actually that did it for me. But back in 2005, we just moved back to the UK. We closed up the B&B in France, and we just moved back to the UK. And I had joined a network marketing company, and I'm not in it anymore. And I left after 1 year, but I learned so much in that year. I mean, talk about 1 centimetre at a time. It was like 1 metre at a time. The blinkers came completely off for me. And before, up to that point, I had been a housewife. I'd lived in the USA, I'd lived in Japan, I'd been an expat wife, and I was living in France as an expat wife, you know, raising the children, just being the housewife. And I didn't really have much confidence in myself at all. I was too scared to speak to people and look them in the eye. I was very, very lacking in confidence. And when I joined this network marketing company, they opened my eyes up to this world of broadening your horizons, of taking the blinkers off, and what else was available out there. And the first way that happened to me was I read Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And this was the thing that completely blew me away in terms of the way that we think. So in his book, in his 2 books that really had a profound effect on me, the first one was Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the second one is the cash flow quadrant. And there are 4 quadrants in his analogy. And the first one at the top left is the employee. And then the bottom is the self-employed person. And then over on the right-hand side, top right, there is the business owner. And then the bottom right is investor. I had no idea that these different ways of thinking and different ways of operating were even out there. I had no idea, because I was so fixed on my little speck of light. I was so, you know, defending that position. This is the way it is, and, you know, my life's shit and everything, and not really being aware. But I had the blinkers completely blown off me. And that led me to read Michael Gerber's book on the E-Myth. It led me on to all kinds of other books that I read after that completely opened my eyes to the world of being an entrepreneur, being in business, being an investor. I went out and I bought 2 properties after reading those books to invest in property. My husband and I started a business, and all of this happened because I was exposed to something, and I was open. I was open to the possibility of broadening my speck of light. And then, of course, once you become available to other possibilities come. So it's having that open mind to begin with. I wonder if there's a better way of doing this. I wonder how I can get off the OTAs. Wouldn't it be fun to find a new way to stop paying commissions to online travel agents? I wonder how much fun it would be to start attracting some really lovely guests. Those kind of questions invite a response from the universe, and you'll find that opportunities will start coming your way that you just couldn't see before. And this certainly happened to me, and it's just been an expansive journey for me ever since. And you know, if you had seen me maybe 15 years ago, 12, 15 years ago, you wouldn't recognize me as that person that you see today. So what have we got in the questions box here? So Marie is saying she had to get over the competition, the them or me mindset. Yes. A scarcity mindset while pushing past how painfully uncomfortable it was to break past my old way of thinking and doing things. Yes. Chris, so your daughter, when she would make negative comments about people, I would say, good for them. She does much less of that now. Yes. Yes. Isn't that amazing? And she's attracting her best clientele now. That is so wonderful, isn't it? It's just so, I love it. I love it, Chris. Thanks for sharing that. Marie, thanks for sharing that as well. You just have to be willing, I think. And I think sometimes it doesn't really happen to you, or you don't even entertain the possibility until something goes wrong. And this is the unfortunate thing with humans, because we don't like changing, right? We just don't like changing. It just feels so comfortable. Even in the pain and the suffering, we can still feel comfortable with it. And it isn't until something comes along that actually shakes us up and says, you know, in its own way, wake up, wake up. And, you know, this is what happened to me, of course, in my B&B, you know, when the bailiffs were at the door trying to take my house, I had to make something happen. And I was terrified. And I think the biggest thing that we're terrified of is, I was going to say, I think the biggest thing is failing, but I don't think it is failing, actually. Over the years, I've come to realize that I don't think the biggest thing is failing. I think it's sometimes, what if it works? What if it works? And I do make the money I want to make, and I do have the business that I want to have, and I do attract the guests that I want to attract. What if that works? What if it really works? I think that's even scarier than the failing, because I think we kind of get used to failing in some way. We kind of get used to things not working, and we kind of say, oh well, you know, it wasn't meant to be, and next time will be better. But if we just expand a little bit and just be open to it working, and you know, just taking those baby steps 1 centimeter at a time, then it can be so much fun. It can be so much fun. Okay, yeah, Chris, you're so welcome, Chris. Thank you for being here. I love having these conversations with you guys. I really appreciate your time. Marie, alternatively, it was smothering. It was smothering to stay stuck, thinking and doing all the work. Yes, it does become a bit of a bind after a while, doesn't it? I tend to expect to fail versus, yes, we all do. I think we all expect to fail rather than succeeding, because, you know, most of our lives we spend not succeeding, and very few people are fortunate enough to have the right conditioning, the right environment, the right programming, and you know, good supportive parents who really will support you every step of the way. And I wasn't fortunate enough to have parents like that. And I think the majority of us are suffering from our parents, you know, small speck of light in the dark room. We're all repeating what they say, and like I said earlier, feel like you live in your mother's life. End up saying the things that your father said to your children. So you know, we're just not programmed to expect success. Success is a whole new lifestyle, Chris says. My other daughter just finished her OT degree, not a job that pays a huge salary, but and a job that pays a huge salary. Wow, she's blown away in dealing with her successful journey. That is brilliant, brilliant. And you know what, Chris? It's all down to you. It's all down to you, my dear. She got a job. Isn't that amazing? It's all down to you, because you expanded first. And this is the glorious thing about when we choose to expand as people, as adults, then our children, we really show them the way. Because if you're, you know, if you're like me, and most people are like me, you know, I was not shown the way. I had to find it myself. And then the negative comments and, you know, the negative feelings and energy that I got from my family of origin, my parents and my siblings. So you know, you don't really have the opportunity to do that. So when you open up, when you lead the way, it opens up for our children, and it opens up possibilities for everybody around us. Yeah, you are a great role model, Chris. You are a fantastic role model. So Kathleen, I thought I wouldn't be able to find a cleaner who have attention to detail or do it as well as I do. Oh, that is a common one. And she's found a jewel. No, she doesn't do it exactly like I do, but yes, she does a great job. Yeah. And now I'm relieved of 2 hours of driving to clean. Yeah. More time for other things. Happy camper. Good for you, Kathleen. Isn't that amazing? I had that one too. Yes, Chris, she's amazing. Thanks, Jane. Yeah. Kathleen, I had that too. I mean, goodness, in the beginning, when I started my B&B journey, I was terrified to get a cleaner. I was just so convinced that they weren't going to do a good job, or they, you know, it was all going to backfire and I would have to go around after them. I had all these things going on in my head. And I think that happens every time that we take the next step, every single time, like new level, new devil, right? It's all challenges, but those are the gifts. Though I'm going to say that those challenges are the gifts. So if things aren't going well for you right now, it's an opportunity to look. It's an opportunity to go inside and ask yourself some great questions. How can I do this better? How can I be better? How can I feel better? Maybe there's some self-care that you need to think about. Maybe there's more time off that you need, because this is an intensive business, right? A lot of people burn out. Maybe you need some more time for yourself. Maybe you just need to say no more. Maybe you just need to say no and put yourself first. All of these things are completely possible for you. And expanding that little speck of light just a little bit until, you know, you look back and you think, wow, look how far I've come. That is just the most wonderful thing. All right, so we've been here almost an hour. Goodness, it's been fabulous. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if there's something you want me to talk about in the future, let me know. I'll be happy to come on and talk about anything at all. But what I really, really, really want you to take away from this is the fact that it's what's going on in your head that is bringing you the results that you have. And that may be good, it may be not so good, it may be okay, or it may be absolutely bloody awful right now. And you have the power to change all of it. You do. You have absolutely the power to turn everything around, to have the business that you want, to attract the guests that you want, to stop using the online travel agencies, and to reduce those commissions and keep more money for yourself. Yes, Jane, that's a great comment. Don't be afraid. And if you need to walk away from your business, do so. Put yourself first. If it's not lighting you up, you don't need to prove anything to anybody. If it's not lighting you up anymore, then walk away. Yes, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Love it, love it. All right, all right. Thank you so much for allowing me to take up some of your time today. I hope it's been useful for you. I've really enjoyed it. And have fun whatever you're doing. Bye for now.